Hey team, I wanted to just record some of my reflections on the MDVP retreat for you all. I think trying to capture it all in email would take a really long time, and would take more time for you all to read it. So anyway, I thought I would record my thoughts, and I would like for you to listen to these before our call tomorrow, so that we can flesh out questions, next steps, and things like that. So as you all know, our MDs and VPs were together from Monday to Wednesday in Cincinnati. It was a really, really great step back. About this time last year, the MDVP group, I think it started to really the culture in that group had really broken down. There wasn't a lot of trust across the group. There wasn't a lot of resource sharing and support. People didn't really understand why certain decisions were made and how they were made. And so starting at our retreat last November, we started doing a lot to just call out what was broken about our leadership team and then start to really rebuild that. And since then, I think we've really been on a journey of building trust and building family. We've gotten together quite a few different times, brought in Tony Schwartz to do the energy project work with us, specifically talk about systems and structures within our own leadership team. And so I think last spring we had kind of a breakthrough in terms of our collaboration and support and the trust we've built, and you just really saw that play out at this retreat. I truly felt like our leadership team for the first time was a family, that we were aligned on what we were really prioritizing and zooming in on, and there was a ton of just trust and generosity of spirit and support across our group, and that was really exciting. So in terms of how we spent our time, we started on Monday. First, just celebrating each other. We passed around frames that each had our pictures in it, and then we wrote adjectives that came to mind about each person, which was really cool to just see that how people view you and what they appreciate about you. We also did the human knot, which was cool. We drew away some interesting takeaways about how we operate as a team. One of which was we have a lot of cooks in the kitchen. It was interesting, in those human knot kind of activities, usually one leader kind of emerges, and that didn't happen. But where we really made progress is when we were able to communicate and talk with each other, and so I think it just pulled out the need for that to happen on our team. And Monday night we just went out to dinner. Then Tuesday, we spent the morning in a session that Tam led us on about understanding the experience of staff of color on our team, and this is a continuation of a conversation. So we grounded that conversation based on data and stories. We got data from the OSM results from May, and then from the onboarding conversations that you all saw. We also drew from a lot of anecdotes from the reflections around the AAPI summit, the gathering, the summit, the Latino summit that was held back in July. So we read all of that again as pre-work. If people didn't read it, that was part of the pre-work, but assuming everyone read that. And we also read Dear White Boss, which I had read before, and Shalay, I know you shared that with me, the staff of color read that. And that article just spurred a lot of really good takeaways. I think one that really resonated with me the most was a quote in that article basically says that little things add up over time, and so while you might say to someone oh, that only happened once, don't take it personal, or oh, that's not actually a big deal. Well, actually it is a big deal, especially when that pattern, it happens so many times that it becomes a pattern. And I thought that really stuck with our group a lot. There were quite a few other takeaways that came out of that discussion, and I can talk more with you all about that too. One thing that we also then ended up discussing was both where we've made progress and what else needs to be done. So we thought it was important to actually celebrate the progress we've made as a way to affirm that what we are committing to is working. So we kind of lofted those ideas, and then we moved into a more tactical discussion, which I actually led, where we looked at, last spring we brainstormed a huge list, and we asked ourselves, at the team level, what systems or structures are in place that could make this team feel not inclusive, that could lead to lower satisfaction, especially for staff of color or people coming from low-income backgrounds, and how do we get in front of those things? So First, we started by having a discussion at each table around what have you implemented at the team, the cohort level, that has really changed the experience for your staff members, and what new challenges are you facing. Then we looked at that same list we brainstormed last year, and everyone got a set of Post-it notes, and they had to write down 2 to 3 items from that list that they felt like we've really made progress on, that we should feel good about. 2 to 3 areas that we need to prioritize in the next 36 months and really see action and movement on. And then 2 to 3 items that they want us to continue to prioritize for the long term. When I can recompile the list, I'll share it back out with you, but quick highlight, some of the things I felt like we had really accomplished was continuing to increase our leadership team, although that came up in the what we need to prioritize in 36 months and what we need to prioritize long term. So we felt like we'd made progress. There's a lot more progress to be made. The benefits webinar that Kate and Low Income Working Group led came up on the what we've made progress. Integrating D&I conversations as part of summer L&D, and then at the cohort level long term, shout out Chalet, was another area that they felt we made really good progress on. Taking time at conferences to actually talk about values and diversity and giving more social options than just going out to the bar was another one. So a lot of things that our team has really had our hands in, which was exciting to see. Some of the things to prioritize for 3 to 6 months, there was a lot around people development in terms of promotions, clarifying when you get a promotion, why, what the process is. There was a lot around the language that we use on the RT, not using just TFA speak or consultant-esque language. What were some of the other ones? There was a lot of stuff around finances, ensuring that reimbursements happen quicker and more timely and that process is clear. Quite a bit around continuing to decipher our benefits process. Let's see. Some stuff around mentorship. And I have all this documented, so I can share. And then around the long-term stuff, I thought one of the ones that stood out the most was continuing to really clarify the different paths that people can take across our team. There's a big one around understanding what anti-racist recruitment looks like on campus and how we get there. There was another one around really understanding the organization's priority in terms of anti-racism and how we align there. And some other really good discussion points that came out of that in terms of long term. So I felt like we made a lot of progress there. The next thing in the afternoon, we kind of moved to more of a strategy focused topic where we did a discussion of what we call pre-mortems, where we took a topic and we said, okay, let's pretend that by 3DL we have seen this outcome, which wasn't a good outcome. What do we think could have been the root causes behind why we saw that outcome? And then 2, what could we be doing now to get in front of that? And the 3 areas that we focused on were core member and alumni mobilization, outreach, and African American recruitment. And I just thought that the discussions were just so robust and so exciting. One of the biggest takeaways, which I know Tanya, you and I have talked about, and I think applies to every single one of us, is how are we sharing resources in a way where people can quickly access and use them so that so many people aren't reinventing the wheel. Another question that came up was, to what extent can we provide norms and high standards that still allow people to customize for their own campus? And just a lot of really good discussions. I know, Ariel, there was some debate around, okay, how is TFACT currently allowing us to make the progress we need to, and how is it holding us back? So with outreach, for example, how is it actually added time to our outreach cycle? Or as we innovate with outreach, is it going to be possible to track that, and do we care or not? It was a really great discussion. So then after that, some of us had the option to go canvas with Elisa Hoffman. I'm not sure if you all know her. Elisa Hoffman used to be on the recruitment team way back in the day. And she lived in DC for a while. She now lives in Cincinnati with her husband. They have 2 kids. They're twins. They're 4 and in preschool. They live in the city and planning to send their kids to city schools. Her husband works for the city doing city planning, and her job, she works part-time. She does the central hiring for the RT, specifically the RM role is her job, and does a lot of other things with HA too, but that's like a big piece of her work. And so she's actually running for school board in Cincinnati, which is awesome. I love to see more women charting that path for us, and more people on staff too. I think really showing that is something possible to hold office and still be just as committed to your staff role. anyway, so some of it, if you wanted to, you had the option to go help our canvas, which I did, and it was awesome. I really loved it. Loved meeting the people in Cincinnati. I just loved all the energy around a campaign. It was just super exciting. And then after that, her husband and her had us over to their house for a cookout, which again was just lovely. Then the next day, Daniel and I led a session around the mobilizing partners. We called it out of the inbox and into the real world as a way to try to jumpstart some relationship building. We talked a lot about, really want to talk to you all about this. We talked a lot about what it means to give and release power and what it means to build relational power as opposed to hierarchical power, which I think just really struck a chord with some people in terms of what that looks like. We talked a lot about understanding what is at someone's core, and really understanding how you connect that to our mission and what's best for kids and communities in a way that makes sense for the person you're talking to. One of the mindsets we also talked about was that next steps is a way to build relationships, but that there is a fine line between transactional and relational relationship building, but that we shouldn't think that just by building relationships that means that you don't set next steps at the end of every meeting. We also talked about the different values that different groups put on asks and to not make assumption about what is either easy or hard for someone to deliver on. And just the nature of both giving and receiving that needs to happen in order to build true partnerships. And we heard from Angie, Tracy, and Shantae some really incredible examples of how they've built meaningful relationships over time as a model for our team. And then our team actually had work time. Each MD and VP was asked to pinpoint 2 to 3 people and build a plan around how they really want to invest them in our work and involve them. So, and then we closed out by sharing commitments. And I'm happy to share my next steps and commitments with you all. One of my big ones was to actually write down all the next steps from managing across lines of difference. So what is it going to take at the team-wide system level to move our team forward and start teeing up people to do that. So Shalay, I'd love to partner with you on that. I had another one around housing resources. Another big resource or next step that I made was around what is it going to take to package and deliver things centrally, trainings and resources versus package and deliver them at the cohort level, and just really figuring out that question. And one other thing that I shared with the team was just how proud you all would have been to be there and hear the conversations that they were having. I think they were super in line with what we're thinking, and just gave me a lot of hope and excitement for our work. So overall, I felt like it was a really great experience. I'm excited to talk to you all tomorrow, so definitely jot down any questions or reflections or anything like that that you have. And I guess, yeah, that's all for now. One other thing, and I'll send this with our agenda. Our time together was structured around 3 MDVP priorities that the MDVP group has decided to prioritize for our team, and in terms of what success will look like for our team. The first priority is around building the leadership of our team, especially those coming from diverse backgrounds or low-income backgrounds, and being able to differentiate based on what people need to build the diverse leadership team we want to see. The second one is about maximizing our current strategies to build the core necessary. And then the third one is about building advocates and partnerships within the community. I'll share that document with you all too. So, okay, I've talked enough now. I can't wait to talk to you all about this tomorrow. Hope you have a good night, and talk to you later. Bye.